Hello, I'm here with another video. Today I'm just going to be reviewing a game one of my students played. I'm not going to go through the whole game since it's not really that long, but I thought most of the key concepts to talk about would be sort of towards the beginning. And I talked to him a little bit about this game before, so I thought it would be interesting to take a look at. And my student's white, and this is a 3Q game on IGS. He's playing against Kobayashi. We haven't really talked much about this opening, but this is totally a playable way, and he caps here. Again, I'm not going to be too detailed about it. He could totally press if he wanted to, but cap is fine. Black defends, and then this is sort of interesting. So this is dog's face, right? But it's kind of a weird timing, I guess I'd say, for a dog's face, because we want to think about when we're making shape in the center, we want to think about how we're going to make our full shape, right? So if we have white play another move, white might play here, I guess, or maybe here, but these are kind of like expanding out the shape, right? These two moves. But the move that white played in the game doesn't really expand, right? It just kind of pushes out into the center. And that's kind of good if you're trying to get ahead, but white's already basically ahead of this side. And so you don't really need to get ahead. You need to start planning how you're going to make shape in the center. Now, we don't want to attach right now because that's obviously making black quite strong over here. But I would think about Kusumi or just jump, right? Because let's say black defends and then you play this way, cap, and black defends. You already have quite a lot of eye shape inside. Or we could also think about this knight's move, which is a little bit odd, but it doesn't help black. And the idea here would be if black, say, defends one way, like this way you could just peep and then tenuki. But you're kind of further out and a bit faster, and later we're looking at moves that come in and harass this group. Kusumi kind of does the same thing though, so I don't think it's a very big difference. Either way, this wasn't really what I wanted to talk about, but this is kind of the first key point. This move is pretty good. White's fairly solid here because we played some slow moves. And so we are going to come in and break up black's formation on the bottom. That's great. But when I spoke with my student, he thought his group was still quite weak. And so that's an interesting point. When you start playing, and this is a little bit hard, especially at the 3Q level, but when you start making shapes in the center like this, you want to start asking yourself, where am I going to have eyes, right? And it's a little bit hard to see, but you have to kind of know a little bit about this shape. So for instance, the dog's face, typically you're looking to make a shape at 07, which, right, so if like white plays here and then a move here, you basically have an eye at 07, and it's very hard for black to take that away, right? And at the same time, you could also have an eye with this shape. A lot of my friends call this a Dan shape because you used to see it a lot in Dan level games and not so much in Q level games. But the idea with this shape is maybe white can play here later, and then black will take, and now we have an eye here. Even if black bumps to kind of deny it, white can just answer, and now black has to go back and take this turn anyway, in which case we can start forming an eye here. So both of those are options. In this case, and sometimes you can counterattack, but in this case it doesn't really work too well. Whoops. Actually, wait, does it work? No, it doesn't really work that well because even if we squeeze, we can't extend either because of this. Even if we squeeze, white's split into two groups, so it's not great. But sometimes you can counterattack. Depends a little bit on the surrounding situation. But yeah, so you kind of have to know where your eyes are, and then obviously white can run out this way or this way. So white's decently strong, and I think this is a good timing to try to split up the bottom because it's both helping the group, it's close enough you can help it, and it's doing quite a bit of damage to black's formation. And black plays a really questionable move. You never really want to attach when someone splits the 3-space extension on the same line. And the reason for that is basically what white could do, which white should do here, is hane. And black doesn't really want to pull back because this would create what's called broken shape. And the broken shape is this knight's move. White is pushing right through the knight's move. And that's really good shape for white because this stone that's pushed against the white group, it only has 3 liberties. The white group has so many liberties, 5 liberties. So it's quite effective for white to have this shape. So now here's a problem though. In the game, and let me cover one more variation first. If black cuts, so black should cut to prevent that. White can Atari here and then connect, and then we have another broken shape. This stone is broken from these group stones. And you might worry about white counter Atari, but white can just take, and if black seals white in, white can just jump. And this group out here, even though it's not super solid, it's strong enough that it won't die, and white has taken away a huge amount of territory from black. So if this group doesn't die on the right, black's pretty behind. And if black tries to block or something, white can still force once, force again, maybe force again, and white's actually already alive, so white can just run out. Even with the moves like these, there's no way to get rid of the second eye. So basically, white should hane, since that would create a broken shape no matter what, and black would take a huge loss in points and territory and in shape. But my student was very worried about his group over here, and so bumped. And this is not good shape, because this is hane at the head of 2 stones. You're kind of helping black to harass you. And so you have to hane again, and black answered. But we have to wonder, did we really get anything with these 2 stones? If we just wanted to make our group stronger, we were worried about this group, we could have just started with this, and black plays here. We wouldn't really hane next, we would still play here and still aim to break into the bottom. Or if black answers this way, we could still get one forcing move and then push, but then at least we're making a bit clearer shape here. And of course this is not really great anyway because black's getting a lot on the bottom, but my point is kind of just like, we're not really looking for just making shape. We have lots of shape. We have a potential eye here, 2 ways out into the center, an attachment here. So we're not really worried. And so this was a really big missed opportunity for white to break into the bottom and like completely reduce the area. Instead, the end result here is that white has a bit more shape, but black has fixed not just the weakness between these 2 stones, the 3-space extension, it also helped the h3 weakness a lot. This entire bottom side is almost solid. And so that's a really big loss for white, because white got stronger, but black also got much stronger overall. And here white plays this move. This is a really big move. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but if you think about it, we did make black strong on the bottom, but we now have this really, what should be pretty strong white group here, right? We have at least one eye here that's very clear, and we have those eyes here and moving out that we talked about still. So we want to use this strength. So one way to use it would be to come into the right side and attack these 2 stones, right? We're aiming to come under and take away the base of the 2 stones, and we're disconnecting the 2 black groups. So this would be a really typical way to use your strength. And I think if white played this way, the game is still pretty okay for white. I think black still has like a little bit of a difficult time, and I don't think black got maybe enough on the bottom. Like back here, maybe black should not defend the corner, but just like jump, right? This is kind of the bigger side. But so anyway, white defends the corner here, and black approaches, so they're both kind of playing away from the group situation. White kicks and pincers, very normal. And then black counter pincers. So if we just look at the left side, we have 3 groups that are not very settled. We have 2 corners that are both pretty strong, decently strong. And so white should have an advantageous fight. Excuse me. And so white jumps perfectly fine, splitting the 2 groups, right? This is pretty normal. personally, I would consider, I think this is fine. I would also consider leaning moves and such, but this is fine. And then here's kind of where I had my first issue with this game was this move. So my student, I think, or White, was trying to help the group on the left, but we don't really want to help it by strengthening Black. And a shoulder hit is kind of a touching move, so it helps Black to become stronger, like pushing up like this. So if our follow-up was, say, Hane and Black Hanes, we kind of have to, we can't really double Hane because of the cutting points. It might be sort of possible, but it's a little bit iffy because there's the connection under, and then these two cutting points are an issue. Although it seems like it might work, but if they connect and then here, and if here, then this is kind of difficult to justify giving Black so much strength on the left because we're still cut. And there's a ko here, right? Ko like this. So yeah, that's kind of tough. And so you'd have to extend or connect or come down. Coming down is probably the most normal and you get your shape. But once Black extends up, it feels like Black kind of got out ahead on the left and is decently settled. And it's not alive or anything, but like if we decide to cut, then Black can just give the stone up and then give these stones up and then just come down, and our corner is really, really damaged. So not the greatest shape for White. My first intuition here, which I don't think is correct, but my first intuition would actually just be to cap, because we're out ahead of the group on the left, and it's kind of hard for Black to maneuver the stone. But I'm a little bit worried that when Black comes out, say like this, well, normally I would jump, but let's just keep it simple, I guess, like this, and maybe even make some bad shape. Our stones on the left are not really doing much as White. And so that would be my first thought, but actually I think a better plan, maybe to jump once, threatening these three stones. Black has to help them. If Black doesn't help them, then we can start surrounding them and drive them towards the side, then build profit along the side, like this, right? So we got this extra jump, which helps protect the corner, and we got some influence in the center. And now we can continue just coming down and harassing the group and maybe play a leaning move here. Or approach and then do this kind of thing too. It kind of depends on the situation. I haven't read much here, but that's kind of my general first instinct. And so Black should probably defend these, and if Black defends them, then capping is a lot more effective because these stones in the middle are much stronger. If you remember playing the same variation again, and let's say we just play a nothing move, I would normally not play these, I would normally lean here to be more severe, but just to play a very simple variation and defend. These stones are much harder to attack because we already made this exchange. If we didn't make that exchange, then at the end of all this, yeah, we could jump. I guess this one's not that different, but Black may lean like this, and then we're still a little bit under pressure, and Black's a little bit more efficient and faster. Actually, just to show you, if I were White, I would play here, and even if Black goes down like this, it doesn't really help the shape. And if Black jumps, then we can take this down here, which is quite big. And that's a much bigger profit for these stones. But notice that when Black comes here, our stones are very thin. Even if we jump, there's this cutting point and then another cutting point, and we kind of can't connect no matter how we want to try. And that's why I would really want to jump here first before coming back and capping and then attaching to get a real attack going. And this kind of jumping move is basically, it's very subtle, and you have to do a little bit of reading, but basically it depends how well do you think you can really grasp the black stone on the left. When I look at the shape, we have a one space jump, so there's a peep here, and just knowing that there's a peep here tells me this stone is not going to be very connected, because there's a two space jump and there's already the thinness of the two space jump to worry about, right? Because this peep, we have to worry about cutting here, we have to worry about jump cuts here. So having that extra jump here first would really help with that, because now it helps with this 2-space jump, right? Now we have a tiger's mouth. Now we can still make a tiger's mouth. What other one here? We can just hane. Right, so that really would help with that shape, and that's kind of why I would want this jump before capping. That'd be like my instinctual shape move. So first instinct, oh, just come around the top, but it's a bit thin, so we try to improve it. And then the last thing here is kind of silly. Not silly, but little simple. Black played this move. I'm not really sure why, but I guess he didn't want to help white, so he's kind of taking the advice I was giving white was don't help, black settle, so don't touch black. But here, black is weaker, black has 2 groups, so black actually should touch white and try to become stronger. And this shape gives white the chance to fix the mistake by coming down. Kicking is a very good attacking shape because it takes away the base of your opponent. So this is like a kick shape. Black kicks the Kosumi with a kick. Is a kick against the 2 stones. But it's actually very bad for defense because it shortens your liberties. Anytime white plays this move, black will have to answer to keep the white groups not to save the stone. So white's is pretty strong. Or this one can also be a move. And if you just think about the normal type of thing, black should connect, right? We take one, then you connect on the other. But these are both very damaging for liberties. Of course, black doesn't have to do that, but that's kind of like how you would normally think about this shape. So here, if white had just gone down, white would be very strong. White would have an eye here, and probably another eye here, and the 2 black groups are totally separated. So this is a really good position for black. Quite difficult for black to handle. Black comes out. Then we can come this way. Since our group in the middle is quite strong, we can take profit at the top, help defend our corner, and attack this from a distance, right? We're putting pressure on it. We're limiting how it can run away, right? Before it could run out this way, but now it can't. So we're taking away one of the options, while also taking profit for ourselves. So if black plays away again, or maybe let's say it's like this, then when we jump, black has to run farther, jump again, and then we can chase it while building more profit at the top, right? That's pretty simple. Yeah, so this move is a really key point. And if you know your basic shapes too, it's a table shape, right? And so that's kind of what makes a table shape so good, is it makes an eye and probably builds an eye on the side as well. So missing this point was very big. White jumps, black jumps, and here this move really was strange to me. It's kind of attacking the black group, but it's kind of inducing black to jump, right? We have to wonder 2 things. The first is when you're attacking, are you gaining profit with your attack? E6 doesn't really gain profit. It helps our corner, but our corner was already decently strong. And the second thing is our corner was also much stronger than this group on the side. Of course, blocking would still be a good move, but assuming we don't see that, we may consider coming from this side, because that way our group is building a bit of eye shape in the center, right? And maybe we play like this. Sure. And now this middle group is a lot stronger, and our corner is not really that weak either. Even if black comes in, we can still lean on the bottom to put pressure on the middle group, right? I didn't read this out, so I'm not 100% sure. But intuitively, this seems really, yeah, black is quite dead. Yeah, if black takes, you just give up the stone. That's fine. So that would be quite difficult. The other option, which I would play in a game, and which we talked a little bit about, if you want to help build strength here, and you're in an attacking position, right? You should lean on the unimportant side. Like, some people may be reluctant to give black this extra 10 points, but it really helps give you that height, give you that necessary strength to then come around and attack this group. Notice that black can't go this way because we can still surround. And if black goes this way, we can still surround. So, and these 2 stones really help, because if we played that way without them, right? Notice we had 2 white stones here before. Then black can just push and cut. And we have to defend one, and white takes the other, or black takes the other, and same thing here. And we could just jump out like this. We could also just attach. This is quite annoying because if we save it, black will cut this off, and then we can take the stone. So yeah, so having this leaning strategy could be really effective for attacking the group on the left. And so these are kind of like the basic methods of attack. The first is you just want to take good key points. But if you aren't in an attacking position, you have this height, you don't want to just play a defensive move. You want to create momentum in your attack. And this is how it's actually a way to profit. So obviously if black answers and we cover, we get a really strong attack and we're going to get a lot of profit, maybe kill it. At the very least, all of our outside stones will get much stronger. However, black may not want us to put pressure on this group, so black may jump out and save them. Then we can take this stone and gain profit. Black doesn't have time to defend against the leaning attack, and we can take profit basically because black has to give it up in order to save the other group. So jumping here and then black answering, and then we defend, this actually loses a lot of momentum for white. And once black comes out, we come out again, we should go probably this way, but it doesn't really matter. Once we get to here, white basically got everything white wanted, but this position is quite difficult, I think, because although white saved this group and black had to connect up with this, and this group is still kind of weak, white has created 2 kind of strings of stones that didn't really get much profit. White didn't get much compensation for basically their position. The group on the right was a weak group, so that's kind of okay. But for white, who started out in an attacking position like this, it's really, really a big loss because white ended up in a position where white built the string of stones, white got this jump. The kick was not anything to do with the attack, so it doesn't count. And so all white got out of this attack was a 2-space extension. That's very minimal. And black, is that enough for like letting black disrupt the whole left side? No, not really at all. But with this game, I think probably black is a little bit ahead. Maybe more than a little bit, but I think, especially at a 3Q level, this is totally still playable for white. Until we see the next move, and that's here. So this is a cap. White is basically stopping this group from moving. But it's very difficult to call this a good move, because I don't think white can kill this group, for sure. Black can run this way, or black can run this way. And the other thing is, it's very difficult for white to get profit with this move, right? So like, for instance, what if white attacks like this? Again, attacking from a distance while making profit at the top. Black may run out, but then we can follow with our group. Now, of course, this way is a little greedy though. Black may come over this way and try to harass this unsettled white group. So white may have to answer, and then black can take like a big point here. Still a little bit better than the game though. This is like a really big overplay. I think the normal way would just be to help our middle, or weak group in the middle. Black would want to maybe help the group here. And again, look, black has to lean to get some connection, get some momentum to build a connection. If black just jumps, then we can follow with a 2-space extension, or we can just go into the corner, or go into the right side, or attack these 2 stones, right? These are kind of normal moves, but they all take points. They all affect the areas black's taking points, while also aiming at the group here. So these are kind of different ways of thinking about an attack. You want to think about the strength of your groups, the strength and weakness of both sides groups, and also how you're going to profit from your attack. How do you convert it into actual points at the end of the game? This stone isn't really that helpful because white could already come over here. Remember, these 2 stones earlier for black are not that strong. In fact, white could just still come here right now, and these two stones are not very strong. So if black has to defend them, right, like come out, we could still come out. Maybe play a very simple Joseki and still come out. And this is a little bit difficult. Black has two groups that are much weaker than the white groups, even although white's not super strong. But this would be like a kind of playable, simple way to play. Now, alternatively, here you could slide once, and now this gives us a connection underneath. So then black has to come out. Right? These are kind of more severe ways to play. But the main idea is just like we don't have to kind of go crazy. We can just still look. Oh, these two stones are up against a white group. This stick. Are we really going to turn this stone into profit somehow? It's kind of difficult, especially because it's cuttable, right? It's not connected to any white group. And then back here, yeah, just the key points in attack and defense. Once you're in the position to attack, you want to build that momentum, right, to attack. So here, a little bit softer might be here, but we still get a good follow-up. Attacking directly a little bit early, and definitely just jumping is too soft, right? It's not going to compensate you in any way, and it's obvious black will come out, but it's not obvious how white's really profiting, right? Because when we make this exchange, the middle group gets weaker, and so you'd say, oh, e6 is good enough that we're getting something that the middle group can become weaker, and then we recoup, we like add a move to help that group. Yeah, but that's a bit difficult. It's really hard to say that white is benefiting with this exchange. Okay, that's basically it for this game. I thought it was an interesting game because white didn't really make any huge mistakes, like you would say, like really obvious blundery type moves, and it was more of a very strategic, like kind of not sure how to exactly attack or create pressure is my feeling. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.